What if the very place meant to save you becomes the place where your fear is exposed to the light? The whistle of the westbound train sliced through the quiet afternoon of Hawthorne, Wyoming. As the train screeched to a stop, Sophia Veilent stepped down onto the wooden platform with shaking hands. Her grip on her worn leather bag was so tight, her knuckles turned white. She had traveled all the way from Boston, but the hardest part was only beginning. She was about to meet the man she had promised to marry through letters alone. Dust swirled around her shoes, and the bright sun forced her to lower her bonnet just a little more. Her best blue traveling dress already carried the dust of 3 states. She scanned the faces on the platform. Miners, ranchers, townsfolk. Her heart hammered painfully. Then she saw him. A tall man leaned against a post, scanning each passenger as they stepped off the train. When he caught sight of her, he straightened. He removed his hat, revealing sandy brown hair that curled slightly at the ends. His face was tanned from years in the sun, with lines near his eyes that suggested both hard work and kindness. She recognized him from the small photograph he had mailed months ago. Lucas Garrison. He walked toward her with calm, steady steps. Sophia tried to hold herself together, but her hands shook anyway. "Miss Veilent?" Lucas asked gently. Sophia nodded. Her voice didn't come at first. She forced herself to speak. "Mr. Garrison." Instead of shaking her hand, he held it lightly, as if afraid she might break. His touch made her flinch without meaning to. His brows drew together, but he said nothing about it. "Welcome to Hawthorne," he said softly. "I hope your journey wasn't too difficult." "It was educational," she managed, keeping her eyes low. Lucas noticed everything, the way her gaze darted around. The way her shoulders stiffened when a group of laughing cowboys burst out of the saloon across the street. The way she stood like someone waiting for a blow. "My wagon is this way," he said, guiding her toward a well-kept buckboard hitched to 2 strong horses. "It's about an hour's ride to the ranch." She followed him, her steps light but nervous. When he lifted her trunk into the wagon, she whispered a thank you. When he helped her climb onto the seat, she flinched again at his brief touch. Lucas's jaw tightened, not in anger, but in concern. For several minutes they rode in silence, the wheels creaking beneath them, the wind carrying the scent of grass and dust. "You seem afraid, Miss Veilent," Lucas said finally, his voice gentle. Sophia startled. I don't know what to expect." "From Wyoming?" he asked. She swallowed. "From everything." She hesitated, "including you." Lucas nodded as the horses trotted along the trail. "Both are fair concerns. Wyoming can be harsh, but she's honest at least. As for me," he paused, "I meant every word in our letters. I'm looking for a partner, not someone to command or control. You'll always be respected in my home." Sophia nodded, but she kept her gaze on her hands, folded tightly in her lap. Lucas noticed a faint scar circling her wrist, like a thin bracelet carved into her skin. He said nothing, though a quiet anger stirred in him, not at her, but at whatever had caused that mark. A few minutes later, he pulled the wagon off the road toward a small stream. "The horses could use a drink," he said. It wasn't strictly true, but he wanted her to breathe. He helped her down, stepping back as soon as her feet touched the ground so she wouldn't feel crowded. "Miss Veilent." "Sophia," he corrected softly. "I can see the fear in your eyes. Whatever you're running from, it doesn't have to follow you here." Her head snapped up, her brown eyes wide. "How did you know?" "I've spent my life reading people. And animals," he said. "Both show fear the same way." Sophia swallowed. Her voice trembled when she spoke. "You don't need to know my past." "I don't," Lucas agreed. "Your past is yours. But I want you to understand something. The woman I marry will be my equal, not someone who shrinks when I lift my hand to adjust my hat." Color rushed across Sophia's cheeks. She looked away, ashamed. "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize," Lucas said gently. "Caution keeps people alive out here. But I want us to start with honesty, at least about the present." Sophia took a shaky breath. Lucas continued, "We don't have to marry right away. The preacher only comes once a month. You stay in the guest room, learn the ranch, learn me. If after a month you want to leave, I'll pay your way anywhere you want." "You would do that?" she whispered. "Yes," Lucas said simply. "I want a wife, not a prisoner." For the first time since leaving Boston, Sophia felt her chest loosen. Something warm, fragile, and unfamiliar flickered inside her. They rode on. When they reached the ridge overlooking Meadowlark Ranch, Sophia gasped. Below them lay a wide green valley with a creek, a sturdy two-story home with glass windows, a barn, and horses grazing peacefully. "That's your ranch?" she asked, astonished. Lucas smiled. "Ours if you choose it someday." When they pulled up to the house, a woman came outside, a gray-haired housekeeper with sharp eyes and kind hands. "That's Mrs. Patterson," Lucas said. "She keeps me in line." Mrs. Patterson looked Sophia over with a knowing gaze. "Well now, you must be Miss Veilent," she said warmly. "Come inside. You look worn out from travel." Inside, the house was bright, warm, and filled with books. Sophia's chest tightened, not with fear this time, but with something softer. At dinner, Lucas pulled out her chair. Mrs. Patterson served roast beef, potatoes, and fresh bread. Sophia felt almost overwhelmed by the kindness. Later, Lucas asked, "Would you like to see the barn, the horses?" She hesitated, then nodded. Inside the barn, warm light glowed over polished saddles and curious horses. "This one's Penny," Lucas said, guiding her to a gentle mare. "I hoped she might be your riding horse someday." Sophia touched Penny's soft nose. "I've never ridden before." "You will," Lucas said, his voice warm. "You'll learn. You're stronger than you think." Sophia looked up at him, her chest tightening in a way she didn't understand. That night, lying in her clean guest bed, listening to the creek outside the window, Sophia felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. She wasn't sure where this journey would lead, but for the first time she wondered if she had stepped into a life where fear no longer ruled her. The next morning, sunlight spilled across Sophia's room, warming the quilt and softening the edges of her worries. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then she saw the creek outside the window and remembered she was far from Boston, far from the life that had nearly broken her. She dressed and went downstairs, following the smell of coffee. Mrs. Patterson greeted her with a smile. "Morning, Miss Veilent. Did you sleep well?" "Yes. Better than I expected," Sophia admitted. "Good. Mr. Garrison's been up since before dawn. Spring keeps a rancher busier than a hive of bees." Mrs. Patterson slid a plate of eggs and bacon toward her. "Eat. You'll need your strength." Sophia ate gratefully, trying not to feel guilty that Lucas was working while she sat warm and comfortable. After breakfast, she unpacked and then moved through the house, getting familiar with the space that could one day be her home. Around midday, a knock sounded at the door. Mrs. Patterson answered it, revealing a tall woman with graying red hair, a strong posture, and a face lined not by age but by experience. "Miss Veilent, this is Mrs. Grace Harper," the housekeeper said, "closest neighbor we have." Mrs. Harper shook Sophia's hand warmly. "Lucas told me you'd arrived safely. I came to welcome you. You'll be meeting everyone sooner or later anyway." Her friendly manner quickly eased Sophia's nerves. They sat for tea, and Mrs. Harper shared stories about ranch life, the community, and the women who kept the territory running. "People think this land is ruled by cowboys," she said with a grin. "But it's the women who keep the homes standing and the men alive." Sophia laughed softly, surprising herself. Mrs. Harper leaned closer. "You're in good hands with Lucas. He's a decent man. Rare thing in this world." Sophia felt heat rise to her cheeks but said nothing. After Mrs. Harper left, Sophia wandered outside. The day was warm, the sky wide and blue. She walked toward the creek, slipping off her shoes to dip her feet into the cool water. For the first time in a long while, she let herself breathe. "I see you found my thinking spot," a voice said behind her. Sophia jumped, nearly slipping. Lucas rushed forward and steadied her. "Sorry," he said, stepping back quickly. Didn't mean to scare you." "You didn't," she lied gently. "I just didn't hear you coming." Lucas sat on a nearby rock, leaving space between them. "You're welcome anywhere on the ranch. You don't have to ask." "I didn't want to be in the way." "You're not." He looked at her carefully. "How are you settling in?" "It's peaceful here," she said honestly. "Different from anything I've ever known." Lucas nodded. "That's what I like about it. The land is honest. Demanding, but honest." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the creek and the breeze rustling the grass. Then Sophia said quietly, "Mrs. Harper mentioned that people speak highly of you." Lucas raised a brow. "Only the good things, I hope." She smiled faintly. "Only good things." Quote, "And what about you?" Lucas asked softly. "Are we treating you well enough?" "You've all been very kind," she said. Her voice trembled, revealing more than she meant to. "Kinder than I'm used to." Lucas didn't push, didn't pry. "You deserve kindness, Sophia." "Always." Her breath caught. She wasn't used to being spoken to like that. After lunch, Mrs. Patterson taught her tasks around the house: how to manage the stove, where things were kept, and what chores were needed daily. Sophia listened carefully, eager to help, eager to feel useful. Late that afternoon, she met Lucas again near the barn. He had been mending tack, sweat darkening his shirt, dirt smudged across his jaw. He looked tired but smiled when he saw her. "Would you like to meet the horses properly?" he asked. Sophia nodded. Inside the barn, the warm smell of hay wrapped around her. Lucas introduced each horse, explaining their personalities as if they were family. "And this is Penny," he said, stopping at a gentle bay mare. "I thought you might want to learn to ride her." Quote, Sophia reached out and stroked Penny's soft nose. "Would she really let me?" "She already has," Lucas said. "Horses can sense good hearts." Sophia's throat tightened. She wasn't used to being seen as good by anyone. As evening approached, Lucas showed her the corral, the pastures, and the small garden Mrs. Patterson tended. He moved with quiet confidence, always making sure she felt safe and never overwhelmed. When they returned to the house, sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and red. Sophia paused on the porch, taken by the beauty of it. "It's even better after rain," Lucas said softly beside her. "The whole valley smells new." Sophia looked at him, noticing how the warm light softened his features. "Lucas, may I ask something?" "Of course. Why did you choose me? Out of all the women who must have replied to your advertisement?" Lucas looked out toward the land before answering. "Your letters," he said simply. "You wrote with honesty. You didn't pretend to be someone you weren't. You wrote about wanting a fresh start, not riches or comfort. And something in your words." He paused. "It felt like you were searching for a place where you could finally breathe. I wanted to give you that." Sophia swallowed hard. A single tear slipped down her cheek, though she quickly wiped it away. "Thank you," she whispered. Lucas gave her a small, warm smile. "You're welcome." That night, as she prepared for bed, Sophia stood by her window. The stars were brighter than any she had seen back east. She pressed her hand to the glass, feeling the cool night air seep through the edges. Maybe, just maybe, she had come to the right place. Maybe she had found a man who wouldn't hurt her. A home where fear no longer ruled. She whispered into the night, "Please let this be real." Downstairs, Lucas paused on his way to his room, looking up toward where her window glowed softly. "Fear has no place in our home," he murmured to himself, repeating the promise he had made. And he meant every word. Wait, before we move on, what do you think about the story so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to know. When dawn lit the valley the next morning, Sophia woke with a feeling she couldn't quite name. Something warm, something brave, something almost like hope. Each day at Meadowlark made her feel a little lighter, a little stronger, as if the land itself was helping her breathe again. She came downstairs to find Lucas already home from early chores, dust on his boots and sunlight on his shoulders. "Morning," he greeted softly. "Good morning," she replied, surprising herself with how natural it sounded. Days passed in a steady rhythm. Sophia helped Mrs. Patterson in the kitchen, learned how to manage the stove, how to sort laundry, how to gather fresh herbs from the small garden behind the house. She cleaned, cooked, and listened to stories about life on the ranch. Lucas, in turn, began teaching her how to ride. At first she was unsure, clinging tightly to the saddle. But Lucas stayed beside her, one hand near Penny's reins in case she panicked. "You're doing better than you think," he said each time her nerves got the best of her. Soon she could ride a slow circle in the corral without holding her breath. Penny moved gently beneath her, as if she understood Sophia needed patience more than speed. Every day Sophia grew a little more confident. Every day Lucas looked at her a little longer. And every night Sophia lay awake wondering if it was possible for her heart, her bruised, frightened heart, to trust again. Then came the invitation that would change everything. One warm afternoon, Lucas found her folding laundry near the porch. "There's a Founders Day dance in Hawthorne this weekend," he said. His voice was steady, but there was a flicker of nervousness in his eyes. "Only if you want to go with me." Sophia froze. A dance, a public gathering, people staring, people whispering. She should have been afraid, but instead her chest fluttered. Because Lucas wasn't demanding. He wasn't expecting. He was asking. I would like that," she said. His shoulders eased, and a slow smile spread across his face. "Good." Mrs. D's Teal at the general store helped her pick out fabric for a dress, a soft green material that made her eyes look deeper, warmer. She sewed late into the evenings, stitches neat and precise from years of practice that no one had ever praised her for. The night before the dance, Lucas knocked gently on her door. "I have something for you," he said, holding a small velvet box. Sophia opened it slowly and gasped. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a tiny emerald at the center. Simple, beautiful, thoughtful. "It reminded me of your eyes," he said quietly. "May I?" She turned, lifting her hair. His hands fastened the clasp with surprising gentleness. His fingers brushed the back of her neck, sending a warm shiver down her spine. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "So are you," he answered before he could stop himself. Sophia felt her heart flip. The dance was magical. Lanterns lit the town hall. Music filled the air. Couples twirled across the wooden floor. Sophia's new green dress swayed gently as she moved, and Lucas stayed close, always aware of her comfort, always making sure she never felt overwhelmed. When he took her hand and led her into a waltz, she expected to be stiff with nerves. But Lucas held her carefully, guiding her with a confidence that made her trust his every step. "You dance well," she said breathlessly. "Mother didn't raise any clumsy sons," he murmured. She laughed softly, surprising herself. People whispered about them. Hawthorne's most respected rancher and the shy new woman from back east. But their smiles were warm, welcoming. For the first time in years, Sophia didn't feel like she had to hide. Until a cold voice cut through the warmth. "So you're the one everyone's been talking about." Sophia turned to see a well-dressed man watching her with calculating eyes. James Sullivan, town saloon owner. His smile was sharp, false, unsettling. "You're prettier than I expected," he said. "Lucas has good taste." He always did. Before Sophia could respond, Lucas stepped in front of her, his shoulders tense. "Evening, Sullivan," he said, voice cool. "We were just leaving." Lucas guided her away before the man could say more. "Are you all right?" Lucas asked once they were at the edge of the room. "Yes," she said honestly, "just uncomfortable." "I won't let anyone trouble you," he promised. And she believed him. By the time they returned home, stars covered the sky like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Lucas pulled the wagon to a gentle stop in front of the porch. "Sophia," he said quietly, turning toward her, "I need to ask you something." Her heart began to race. "These weeks, have you been happy here?" Sophia looked at the man who had shown her more respect in 1 month than her old life had given her in years. "Yes," she said, "more than I ever expected." Lucas swallowed, hope flickering in his eyes. "The preacher will be in town next Sunday. I know we said we would take things slow, but I wondered if maybe if you had reached a decision about us." Sophia's breath caught. She remembered the fear she carried from Boston, the faint scars on her wrist, the nights she had cried herself to sleep. She remembered how Lucas had never once raised his voice, never once tried to control her, never once made her feel small. "I have," she whispered. "I choose you, Lucas. If you still want me, I would be honored to become your wife." Lucas stopped the horses entirely. He turned to her fully, his expression raw with emotion. "Are you sure?" he asked softly. "I want you because you choose me, not because you have nowhere else to go." Sophia reached for his hands, no longer afraid of touch. "I am choosing you," she said. "Not out of fear, not out of desperation, but because I care for you, deeply." Slowly, beautifully, the brightest smile she had ever seen spread across Lucas's face. "Sophia," he breathed, "you've made me the happiest man alive." He lifted her hands and pressed a tender kiss to her knuckles. She leaned close, feeling her heart open fully for the first time in years. There, on the quiet road, beneath the wide Wyoming sky, Sophia realized her life had finally changed. She was no longer running from something. She was running toward something. Toward a home, toward a future, toward love.